Okay. Good evening, students. Sorry for the delay. There was some problem with the Zoom app, and we're trying to link it to Facebook, and it wasn't happening. So let's start off the session. So a warm welcome to everybody here today. And in our previous session, we learned about the 5 major extinctions that were naturally caused. And today we are going to learn about the 6th extinction, that is completely man-made extinctions. That is, species and animals and birds, creatures are dying. They are being wiped out of this planet at a very fast pace, and it's all because of human activity on the planet. So before I get into that, let me tell you that human beings are not bad by nature. Okay, do not think that by nature we are very bad and very cruel. No, that is not right. So I want to first start off with a couple of very important show you important quotes about great men, by great men, about the human nature. You see that people must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love, for love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite. It was said by Nelson Mandela, and it is so true that we humans are capable of loving and protecting and caring for each other and other animals around us. The greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated. That's said by Mahatma Gandhi. And you can see how much importance that these great men give to the uh, human beings. And they actually they show how we are able to empathize with creatures beyond our species, and they talk about how we can actually learn to love rather than hate. That can be applied to human beings, it can be applied to animals, to everything around us. So let me get into the core of the lesson. So you see that Homo sapiens are arguably the most successful invaders in biological history. This process goes back to about 120,000 years ago, when modern humans first migrated out of Africa. It might be nice to imagine there once was a time when man lived in harmony with nature, but it's not clear he ever did. That means wherever human beings went, extinction followed. Animals have lived for about millions of years without dying out. They have survived great fires, they have survived droughts, they have survived harsh climate environments. But you see, extinction is always related to the time human beings have arrived on land. So, extinction followed modern human beings wherever they went. The pulse of human-induced extinction hit the continent of Australia 40,000 years ago, and all their big animals disappeared because human beings started to hunt big animals. The second pulse hit of human-induced extinction hit North and South America 25,000 years later. So whenever human beings entered a particular continent, animals started disappearing fast. Man's arrival is the only reasonable answer to the megafauna's disappearance. That is, these animals started dying out only because human beings arrived on the scene. Let's look at the mammoth. Let's analyze the mammoth with respect to the reproductive rate. For example, the gestation period of the mammoth is about 22 months. That means the mammoth can carry its baby inside the stomach for 22 months. Mammoths don't have twins. They only reproduce once. So they have only one baby at a time. And they don't produce a baby until they're about 14, 15 years old. So their reproductive rate is slow, even when everything is going well. All right. The main reason that the mammal was able to exist is that when the mammoth became big, it was very difficult for other animals to hunt the mammoth down. Once the mammoth reaches a certain size, it escapes predation. That means other animals cannot hunt it. It is too big. Lions, tigers cannot hunt the mammoth because it was very big that time. This was a very good strategy. You first grow, you become big. Once you become big, no animal can hunt you. It was a very successful strategy in the beginning. But then human beings came onto the continent. And then this changed completely. No matter how big the animal is, right, it cannot be saved from human beings. All right. So these animals weren't doing anything wrong. It's just that the humans appeared, when the humans appeared, the rules of survival game changed. Animals such as deer that had a high reproductive rate but were susceptible to predation survived when mammoths fell. That means deer, which is small and which can be easily killed, but they reproduce fast. So they survived till today's time. Mammoths could not reproduce fast enough, and human beings were killing them faster than they can reproduce. And so the mammoth population fell down. Before, being large and slow was a very good strategy. But once human beings came onto the scene, this strategy became a loser's strategy. And that is why the mammoth died out. You see, human beings started living in big groups. And if they killed a small deer, they had to kill continuously over and over again. They had to kill about, let's say, 20 deer to feed an entire population at that time. So they said, let us kill one big mammoth instead of killing 20 deer. We will save a lot of energy. And so they started killing big animals. And that is why big animals started disappearing. Let me talk about certain animals that have gone extinct so far. The quagga, it went extinct in 1878. It is a subspecies of the zebra with the front half looking like a zebra and the back looking like a horse. The animal was hunted for its skin and meat. It was also hunted to prevent it from grazing. So people thought it was a pest and they didn't want it to be in its land. So whenever they saw the quagga grazing on their land, they shot it down. The Javan tiger, it went extinct in 1984. It was found in the Javan island of Indonesia, and because of the explosion of human population, the tiger lost its forest, and hence the population of the tiger also declined, and it went extinct. The Fakhla wolf. Wolves were hunted for its fur, livestock safety, and for fun. People used to protect the cattle from the wolf, so they killed it. People killed the wolf for its fur, and they also killed it for fun, as a site of, as a type of trophy hunting. They went extinct by 1876. Steller Sea Cow. It was part of the North Pacific marine life. It was slow and easily hunted by European sailors for its meat, skin, fat, and oil. It was wiped out within 27 years of Europeans hunting it. The Atlas bear. It went extinct in 1870. Used in gladiator events in Roman times, thousands were captured and ritualistically killed in fighting competitions. It was the only bear endemic to Africa. So these Romans used to bring these bears and make them fight with each other, and people used to gather and watch it as entertainment. And so many bears were killed. And finally, in 1870, it went extinct. The great auk. It was a medium-sized flightless bird found in the Atlantic Ocean. The bird was hunted by Native Americans and sailors. So when these Europeans and Americans were sailing, they found these birds on small islands. And because these birds could not fly, the sailors surrounded them and then they killed them completely. By 1852, they had completely gone extinct. The thylacine, also known as the Tasmanian tiger. It was Australia's top predator before becoming extinct in the mainland. It was eviscerated by natives and European sailors by 1930. So the aborigines of Australia completely killed the thylacine off. They hunted it down. By 1930, it had gone. The Kraven seal monk. It was last seen in 1939. It was found throughout the Mediterranean. The seal's blubber offered a sizable oil yield for machinery. So because machines need oil, they started killing these seals for the oil. The western black rhinoceros. It went extinct in 2011. When you and I, both of us were alive, in our time, it went extinct. Now, traditional Chinese medicine has not been kind to any rhino species. It has also not been kind to tigers and many other animals such as bears. You see, a lot of these animal parts are used in Chinese medicine, and most of the time, the Chinese medicine doesn't even work. But they kill these animals. They poach these animals for Chinese medicine, and it was hunted down and the animal went extinct in 2011. The horn of the rhino is very important in Chinese medicine, and hence it was targeted. Passenger pigeon. Martha, the last known passenger pigeon, died in the Cincinnati Zoo at 1 p.m. on the 1st of September 1914. She was alone for 4 years before she died. So for 4 years, they tried to search for another passenger pigeon, but they could not find it. And finally, the last known passenger pigeon died. The sea mink. It was hunted for its fur in the 1860s. Such a cute, small little mammal. The bubal hartebeest. The animal was commonly found in Africa, north of the Sahara, from Morocco to Egypt. The last known animal was hunted down in 1917. So people used to hunt it down for its horn or to just hang its face on their living room as a trophy. And the poor animal went extinct in 1917. The dodo went extinct in 1662. It was a fat, large, geeked, flightless bird that inhabited the island of Mauritius in the Indian Ocean. The dodo had no natural predators, and that is why its population increased. But then human settlers started arriving and started living on the island. And because this bird could not fly and it could not outrun the humans, humans had access to them and they killed them for meat. And within 64 years of human arrival, the bird was driven to extinction. The giant moa. The bird was endemic to New Zealand. First, hunters hunted it for its meat. Once the population fell, then the hunters began hunting it not for the meat, but to show that they are the best hunters. The best hunters were able to track down the small population of moa in the forest, and they started killing it as a matter of pride. So we are currently in the midst of the sixth extinction. This extinction is completely caused by humans, and it's not like the previous 5 extinctions, as I've already mentioned, which is due to natural causes. So I want you to watch a video and then I'll explain the video to you in a bit.
Fun fact, planet Earth is 4.5 billion years old. Mankind, about 140,000 years old. Let me put that in perspective. If you condense the Earth's lifespan into 24 hours, that's 1 full day, then we have been here on this planet for, drum roll please, 3 seconds. 3 seconds. And look what we've done. We have modestly named ourselves Homo sapiens, meaning wise man. But is man really so wise? Smart, yes, and it's good to be smart, but not too smart for your own good. Yes, we have split the atom. Yes, we build clever machines that navigate the universe in search of new homes, but at the same time, those atoms we split created nuclear warfare. In our quest to explore the galaxy, rejects and neglects the home that we have here now, so no, that cannot be wisdom. Wisdom is different. While intelligence speaks, wisdom listens, and we willingly covered our ears to Mother Nature's screams and closed our eyes to all of her help-wanted signs. Wisdom knows that every action has an equal and opposite reaction, so if we were wise, we would not be shocked when we see storms that are stronger than ever before, or more drought, hurricanes, and wildfire than ever before, because there's more pollution than ever before, more carbon, more trees cut down than ever before. At a record pace, we have increased the extinction of animals by 1,000 times the normal rate. What a feat. In the next 10 to 100 years, every beloved animal character in every children's book is predicted to go extinct. Lions gone, rhinos gone, tiger, gorilla, elephant, polar bear gone in 3 seconds. Species that have been here longer than us will be gone because of us in this 3 seconds. In an existence shorter than a Vine video, we turn the circle of life into our own personal conveyor belt. Somebody, anybody help. We were given so much, the only planet in this solar system with life. I mean, we are 1 in a million. No, actually, scientifically, we are 1 in a billion, trillion. That's a 1 followed by 33 zeros. And I don't want to get too spiritual, but how are we not miracle. We are perfectly positioned to the sun so we don't burn, but not too distant so we don't turn to ice. Goldilocks said it best. We are just right. This paradise where we are given medicine from trees, not coincidentally, but because like the song says, we are family. Literally, everything, every species is connected genetically from the sunflower to the sunfish. And this is what we must recognize before it's too late, because the real crisis is not global warming, environmental destruction, or animal agriculture. It is us. These problems are symptoms of us, byproducts of us. Our inner reflection, loss of connection has created this misdirection. We have forgotten that everything contributes to the perfection of Mother Nature. Corporations keep us unaware and disconnected, but they have underestimated our strength. Contrary to popular belief, millions are waking up out of their sleep, seeing our home being taken right up under our feet. We cannot allow our history to be written by the wicked, greedy, and loony. It is our duty to protect Mother Nature from those who refuse to see her beauty. Call me crazy, but I believe we should have the right to eat food that's safe with ingredients we can pronounce. Drink water that is clean, marvel at trees, breathe air free of toxins. These are natural rights, not things that can be bargained for in Congress. See, they want you to feel powerless, but it has been said that something as small as the flutter of a butterfly's wing can cause a typhoon halfway around the world. But when enough people come together, we too will make waves and watch the world into a new era filled with love and connection, freedom for all without oppression. But it is up to you, yes, you watching this behind this screen, to make the effort, because time is of the essence, and only together can we make it to the fourth second.
So you see how lucky we are to be alive during this time and what we have done on this planet. You know, every species survival is directly dependent on its relationship with the environment. Currently, we have made a mess of it, but there is still time. We can still save it. We can still save the planet and save ourselves. So what are we doing right now? We are polluting the air, we're polluting the water, polluting the land, right? And there's just so much of destruction. And nature does not have time, or animals don't have time, or species don't have time to adapt. So we have to bring about a change and put an end to this as early as possible. Look at so many cities, they have been plagued with air pollution to such levels that they're not even able to breathe properly. Water pollution. You see, only about 3% of the Earth's water can be used for drinking purposes. Only 1.2% out of this 3% is accessible to us. Like we can access it. The remaining are stored in glaciers, in ice caps, and underwater. And whatever the small 1.2% of water that is available to us in the form of rivers and streams, we end up polluting it. And because of this pollution, not only us, but also, turtles and marine life is also dying out because of this pollution. They're going extinct because we are polluting the waters. Land pollution. We drink the milk given by the cow and we make the cow eat these kind of food. Can you imagine? Noise pollution. There's so much of noise in the street. If you ever go to a forest, you can hear the sound of silence, and it is so beautiful. But now today, if you stand by a street light, you will just hear horns. So much of horns. So many birds have escaped from the city because the noise levels are so high. Imagine the plight of poor dogs, that they cannot go anywhere, street dogs, and they have to listen to these horns from morning to evening. And even in the night, so many vehicles travel and they honk unnecessarily. The noise levels are so high. Deforestation. We're cutting down whatever forests that are there. We're reducing the size of the forests and moving more and more into the forests, building houses, using the wood, and not letting forests breathe and animals live within the forest. We're reducing their habitat every day. Poaching. We kill so many animals in the name of poaching illegally, and the numbers are reducing because of poaching. We kill rhinos for their horns, for Chinese medicine. We kill tigers, we kill apes, we kill gorillas, we kill so many birds. All illegal activities. Whatever remaining animals we have, We are illegally killing them off as well. Trophy hunting. You can see people who are who are fat and obese and who have no strength to even kill an animal with their hands, which they're not supposed to. They take the gun, they shoot down this mighty beast and pose for a photograph. They kill this animal just for a photograph. Can you imagine? They kill these animals so that they can put it on social media, or they can talk to their friends saying, I have killed a rhino with a gun. It's ridiculous. There's something known as bear bile farming, and this is actually very scary. You know, commercial bear bile farming began in China in the 1980s. It's a cruel farming system designed to extract bile from the gallbladders of living bears. Okay, it is used in Chinese medicine. So they keep bears in these small cages for their entire life. They tie this small contraption to their stomach that goes into their stomach, and the entire life, they have to keep providing this, the bile from the gallbladder, and then finally the bear will die a slow and painful death. They're not allowed to come out of this cage. The entire life they have to live like this. Very sad, isn't it? Exotic wildlife markets in China. The Chinese, they consume all kinds of rare animals. They eat all kinds of rare animals. And the coronavirus, many researchers say, has come from one of these markets. So there is a global consensus to stop this illegal consumption of exotic animals. Now just look at this. Okay, the mosquito, frog, tadpole, and larvae. Just look at the interplay of these creatures. Everybody has a problem with mosquitoes today. You find so many mosquitoes all around you, correct? What do? You go and buy these mosquito sprays and you come and spray it in your house. Every month you spend hundreds and thousands of rupees on these mosquito sprays. And then these mosquito sprays are cancer causing. And we spend lakhs and crores on medical treatment to get cured of cancer. And many people die because of cancer as well. But the solution is so simple. We have driven away the frogs from our cities because we made everything concretized. We have not given the frogs a place. We don't have a nice ecosystem. So what has happened is the frogs have disappeared. Nothing is able to keep the mosquito population under control. The frogs naturally prey on mosquitoes. Mosquitoes, they lay their eggs in stagnant water. The tadpoles of frogs also live in stagnant water, and the tadpoles will feed on mosquito larvae. Thus, the population of mosquitoes will come under control. And it's free of cost. We just have to invite nature and allow nature to come and live with us. But we don't do that, and we destroy these ecosystems. We cut off trees, and then these frogs disappear. These amphibians disappear from our cities, and then the mosquito population explodes, and we use artificial chemicals that are actually damaging our own health to keep them under control. All right. Now this slaughter of these dolphins. Now this cauldron dolphins, they're found on Faroe Islands in Denmark. When long fin and short fin pilot whales swim closer to the shore during migration, they are surrounded by boats and chased towards the beach. Once stranded, they are dragged onto the beach and slaughtered. Every year, hundreds of young adults kill hundreds of these dolphins as a rite of passage into adulthood. These humans hack off flesh from the stranded dolphins and watch them cry out for help while the dolphins experience a slow and painful death. The sea turns red with blood. So to show that these people are adults, they capture these helpless dolphins. They cannot even defend themselves, and they start cutting them off when they're alive, just to show that they are actually adults. I mean, that is ridiculous. You can actually see that these dolphins have been chopped off, they've been killed, massacred. The seas become red with their blood, and people are rejoicing and participating in such an event. This is what is happening. And if we don't open our eyes and act now, these dolphins will disappear completely. And this is a senseless act, doesn't make any sense, but it is allowed by law in their land. Such a ridiculous law. Every year, thousands of dolphins have been killed this way. So let's look at some of the animals that are on the verge of extinction. Okay, the vaquita. It's native to the Gulf of California and was discovered in 1958. Very little is known about this animal. Today, it is the world's rarest marine mammal that is on the brink of extinction. The population stands at only 30 in a survey that was conducted in 2016. The Javan rhinoceros. Found on the island of Java in Indonesia, only 60 rhinos are left in the wild. They are hunted by poachers for their horn that is used in Chinese medicine. The Iberian lynx. Native to the Iberian Peninsula of southwest Europe, the lynx is the most endangered of all the feline species. Destruction of habitat due to construction, fall in the population of rabbits, and hunting have caused a drastic fall in their numbers. In 2002, the numbers were around 100, but conservation efforts have definitely paid off, and the numbers today are around 300. The northern hairy-nosed wombat. Found in Queensland, Australia, these creatures are the largest known herbivorous mammal that burrows into the ground. It's the rarest mammal in the world. There are about 230 of them left. Flooding, wildfires, the reduced habitat due to deforestation are driving them towards extinction. The Dama gazelle is the largest of the gazelle species mainly found in Sudan. Their numbers have reduced due to increased wars in the region, excessive hunting, and livestock production. So people want to protect their livestock, and hence they don't want this gazelle to graze on their lands. And whenever they see them, they shoot them down. The Chinese alligator. It is one of the only two known species of alligator in the world, with the other being the American alligator. Their swampland habitats are converted into paddy fields for growing rice, and the farmers are hunting them down to protect their livestock. There are less than 130 of them left in the wild. They're found in small drains now. They don't have their own lands anymore. The pied tamarin is native to Southern America, in particular the Amazon basin. They have come under threat due to deforestation and the growth of urban areas. The saola. They are often called the Asian unicorns due to their rarity. It was first discovered in the wild in Vietnam in 1992. It was then the first mammal to be discovered in more than 50 years. The animal is a prized trophy for hunters and is dearly sought after. So they want to shoot the animal and hang its head in their hall as a trophy. And that is why it's been sought after, and it's almost driven to extinction today. The pangolin is the only mammal in the world that is covered with scales, and their tongue is longer than their bodies. There are about 8 distinct species of the pangolins found across Asia and Africa, but sadly, all of them are on the verge of extinction. When in danger, they curl up into a ball that makes it difficult even for lions to break their tough scales. So humans are their main predator. Okay, and they kill this animal and sell them to China because Chinese eat their meat and use their scales. So something has to be done to put an end to it. So I want to show you a video. And before I show you a video, I just want to give a small anecdote to it. You see, the Yellowstone National Park in the United States was deprived of wolves. All the wolves were completely hunted down. And so the deer population exploded because there's nothing to keep the deer population under control. Then the deer started feeding off on all the greenery and all the plants disappeared. So all the mud that was there fell into the rivers, and the rivers lost their direction. Then, as an experiment, about 20 wolves were introduced back into the park. Now these wolves, they started to hunt the deer. Once they started to hunt the deer, the population of the deer came down. And then the grass and the plants started returning. Because the plants came back, the birds came back. And because the birds came back and the plants came back, the soil now was held together tightly by the plants. And the ecosystem had thrived once again. And the rivers responded to the wolves. It's a wonderful video that will encapsulate what I just said. Have a look at it.
One of the most exciting scientific findings of the past half century has been the discovery of widespread trophic cascades. A trophic cascade is an ecological process which starts at the top of the food chain and tumbles all the way down to the bottom. And the classic example is what happened in the Yellowstone National Park in the United States when wolves were reintroduced in 1995. Now, we all know that wolves kill various species of animals, but perhaps we're slightly less aware that they give life to many others. Before the wolves turned up, they'd been absent for 70 years. That the numbers of deer, because there was nothing to hunt them, had built up and built up in the Yellowstone Park, and despite efforts by humans to control them, they'd managed to reduce much of the vegetation there to almost nothing. They'd just grazed it away. But as soon as the wolves arrived, even though they were few in number, they started to have the most remarkable effects. First, of course, they killed some of the deer, but that wasn't the major thing. Much more significantly, they radically changed the behavior of the deer. The deer started avoiding certain parts of the park, the places where they could be trapped most easily, particularly the valleys and the gorges. And immediately, those places started to regenerate. In some areas, the height of the trees quintupled in just 6 years. Bare valley sides quickly became forests of aspen and willow and cottonwood. And as soon as that happened, the birds started moving in. The number of songbirds, of migratory birds, started to increase greatly. The number of beavers started to increase because beavers like to eat the trees. And beavers, like wolves, are ecosystem engineers. They create niches for other species. And the dams they built in the rivers provided habitats for otters and muskrats and ducks and fish and reptiles and amphibians. The wolves killed coyotes, and as a result of that, the number of rabbits and mice began to rise, which meant more hawks, more weasels, more foxes, more badgers. Ravens and bald eagles came down to feed on the carrion that the wolves had left. Bears fed on it too, and their population began to rise as well, partly also because there were more berries growing on the regenerating shrubs. And the bears reinforced the impact of the wolves by killing some of the calves of the deer. But here's where it gets really interesting. The wolves changed the behavior of the rivers. They began to meander less. There was less erosion. The channels narrowed, more pools formed, more riffle sections, all of which were great for wildlife habitats. The rivers changed in response to the wolves. And the reason was that the regenerating forests stabilized the banks so that they collapsed less often, so that the rivers became more fixed in their course. Similarly, by driving the deer out of some places and the vegetation recovering on the valley sides, there was less soil erosion because the vegetation stabilized that as well. So the wolves, small in number, transformed not just the ecosystem of the Yellowstone National Park, this huge area of land, but also its physical geography.
So guys, you see, with the introduction of just about 20 wolves, how the entire ecosystem of that Yellowstone National Park changed. So it just goes to show that there is hope. Life will bounce back. If we take the right decisions now, if we help nature to bounce back, nature will come back. So there is still time, and always believe in human beings because, they're capable of remarkable things. And if we all decide to save wildlife, decide to save the environment, I'm sure we can. So here's a list of vocabulary that you can go through at your leisure. I'm just going to, since we are running out of time now and we started late, I'm going to skip this now, but you can always get back to the video and you can go through these words. And as I always share some books with you, here are the list of books that you can actually go through to actually get a better understanding on this module. Okay, so thank you so much. We come to the end of this session, and I will see you again next Friday at 5 p.m. Okay, take care.